West Coast Podcast. I'm Shane, and as with me as always is Trey.
Yes, sir. We are back with another edition of the West Coast Podcast. Appreciate you guys for hopping in. We appreciate the guys that listen to this live and on the replay. We are back. It is a Christmas edition. We hope you guys have had a good Thanksgiving and hope that when you're gearing up for the Christmas that you got all your Christmas shopping done, which I still haven't, but it is what it is. But we're excited to get back into the groove of things and got some stuff to talk about. We got some MCS tournament winnings. Clef the God finally got over the hump to become a bell winner and all that, and I got some opinions on the MCS that I'd like to share with Shane and see how he reacts to that. But Shane, how have you been doing? It seems like the holiday season has kind of kicked your rear end, so to speak. You've been kind of MIA and all that. So how have you been doing over this holiday season?
I've been doing pretty good, Trey. Just really busy, man. Getting the presents going, getting everything set up. So it's a little bit busy, right? I think like for me on Christmas Eve, I'll be at the in-laws. Christmas Day, I'll be at my parents. So it'll be a little hectic, especially with a little one. Like I said to you off air, after the new year, like the third, probably January 3rd, it'll get back to normal for me to stream during the day, the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then we'll go through that until Madden 26, where we will have a set schedule in the evening. I know I've said this each podcast, but I'm just letting people know already. Madden 26 will be in the evening consistently Monday through Thursday. And then every other week on Friday will be our West Coast podcast. So we drop so for that, it's pretty cool, like having a real set schedule on the following year. But yeah, we'll get through it and we're gonna have fun when the new year changes up. But right now, it's just been really hectic, Trey.
Yeah, really hectic indeed. So, because you have a family and all this, right? And I would imagine you probably still have to, throw your parents in there. Get some gifts for the parents and all that. So, what I wanted to ask you as a, single guy, is there a specific strategy that you employ when you're going Christmas shopping? Do you try to stay ahead of the curve, or are you last minute? Like, what is your strategy, I guess, when it comes to the Christmas shopping and all that?
You know, I really kind of wait till the last minute, like more so because I want to save up enough money to, handle it and get it done with. Because it is expensive. We got like my wife's parents, her sister and husband and their kids, and then the next day we got my parents and my brother and his wife, and then we also have obviously each other, like my wife and I and our kids and all that stuff. So it's pretty spendy, like so it kind of keeps the wallet a little bit tight, but like I kind of like wait until the very end just because I'm afraid that like when I get somebody a gift, I want people to open it because I don't know. I'm just like that type of person. Like if you go to the casino with me and I win big money or a good amount of money, I throw money to my buddies or family members that are there just because I like sharing the good, like I don't know, the good wealth, I guess that's what you say. So like with presents, if I buy it too early, even if I had the money, I'd probably have to go buy another present because I'd want the person to open it already. Like I like giving presents more than receiving. What about you, Trey? Are you done? Like, so you're not done. I heard you say that, but like, you got much more to do, or are you almost wrapped up?
All right, you heard it here first. Shane is a giver. He is not a receiver, so that is good to know. But with that being said, I still try to get the shopping done and all that. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of people that I need to shop for, and my brother, he has a birthday that's relatively close to Christmas, like a week or two off. So When he was growing up, it's like, man, you get Christmas, so you almost get like a double gift situation there. So, but no, I'm still trying to figure it out and all that. But so I mean, how important is it though? Because like when you're growing up, and, Christmas is going on, and I think I remember, if I remember correctly, I asked you one time what your the best gift that you got, and I think it was something to do with hockey, if I do recall that story. But since you're a little bit older now, like, what was like the one present that you gave to someone else that got the best reaction from someone?
Um, that's a good question, Trey. So yes, you are right. That's a good memory. I was like 11 or 12, and my dad had built like a concrete slab out in the country out back and put up like a basketball hoop for us, but we'd also play hockey on there. And they bought me like these styrofoam hockey pads with a nice glove, hockey glove that was like part of the set, and it was so fun. Like it was one of my favorite gifts of all times. Even even when I got the PlayStation like that, like look at that. That's a core memory right there, Trey. It stuck around. I've given gifts where people have liked them, like you know what I mean, like um well, recent one that stood out is I gave my mother-in-law like a Tyler Lockett, like what are those? I'm having a brain for it right now, but you hang it from the tree ornaments. Tyler Lockett ornament. She like freaked out in excitement because that's her favorite player of like all time. So that was really cool to see. Like, um, bought my brother some cool stuff where he's gotten really excited. I mean, the real good thing about like my family, even the in-laws, um, they all are very excited and happy to open any gifts. Like there's no judgment, which there shouldn't be. But some people do kind of judge or like, oh, this like like you kind of feel like that because like everybody has different money, right? Everybody doesn't have the same amount of money, but like it's just cool to see people get excited and open the gifts and be like, um, just happy about it, Trey. I got my brother something this Christmas. I can't say it on air just in case, but I think he'll really like it. I think it'll be awesome. Actually, I think he'll get like I think I'll get a good reaction. I also did a cameo in the past for my brother for like a Seattle Mariners announcer. It was pretty cool for my brother for his birthday, and it's funny that you said about your brother having a birthday around Christmas. Tell him happy birthday for me. But also my sister-in-law, her birthday is December 26th, bro. So like she's working this week at her family, or she's working on her birthday at her family restaurant this time, but usually she has it off. So it's just like it's crazy because you go New Year or Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then her birthday, right in order. So Trey, what's your favorite gift that you've given? I'm gonna spin it on you. I want to hear the favorite gift that you've given to someone.
All right, well, it's funny that you posed that question because, well, she stopped now, but like as you were talking, my dog was freaking out, and it's been kind of a running joke over these last few years because we have this dog, and she doesn't like me at all, but she's really cool with my dad, so I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna send her the gifts that I give to my parents around the dog, so pretty much what I've been doing. I got a shirt, and our dog's a corgi and Chihuahua mix. So yeah, that's pretty much the gift that I've given them. Probably the best gift that I gave, and it was back when I was making some good money, was a microwave. Um, Gave them a microwave, which was pretty cool. That was probably a couple years ago, and I mean, you would say, oh, it's just a microwave, but I mean, Shane, if you probably have some appliance that you have and you don't even think about it, but let's say someone were to take it away from you, and I'm pretty sure you would say, dang, I didn't even realize how much I missed it until now. So yeah, but basically, stuff that relates to corgis and all that. That's kind of what I have been given lately. So, and I also gave my brother a present. It was like a Jacksonville Jaguar desk thing. So you had the thing to where you hold the pens and all that, but it was also, and this is pretty cool, it was like a wireless charger setup. So, and I mean, he probably uses it now to this day because he's also a journalist. So that is kind of what I've been going on. So, but so yeah, Christmas is around the corner, and excited about that always. But Shane, I do want to get your takes on the tournaments as of late because Clef the God, who um, I'm pretty sure you've played him on Gamerslu, and I could be tripping, but I'm pretty sure you've had battles with Clef on Gamerslu in the past. And obviously, he's been a guy that has been right there at the finals, kind of knocking at the door, but was unable to get over the hump. Well, he did get over the hump and won his first belt, so how crazy is it? Like, and I could be tripping, but someone that you knew him, and then 5 or 10 years later, he wins a belt. Did you think that he was ever going to get over the hump and become the champion?
Great question, Trey. I'm gonna go back to your microwave comment. Nah, man, that's money. Especially as I've gotten older, bro, and I'm being honest. Give me all the clothes that you want to buy me. Give me all the socks you want to buy me. I'll buy my own shoes, but like I'm to the age, bro. I'll take clothes. I'll take socks, bro. And yeah, bro, especially if a microwave goes out. Like I just had to fix my wife's brakes. Actually last week or a week before that. I don't know. It was I think it was middle of or yeah, it was like a week ago, I think, where we had to drop $532 on brakes. So yeah, you are absolutely right, Trey, when you say like when that appliance or when that thing goes out, um, you're like, damn. And it's kind of like your health, right? When you're in great physical health, you're not sick, you take your body and your mind and your soul for granted, and then when you're sick, you're like, damn, this is how it feels. So it's like, no, I totally get what you mean on that. Now to go to the tournament, yeah, Trey, I'm gonna be honest, like it's a little bittersweet for me, like to see a lot of the guys that I battled on Gamer Saloon, 8, 9 years ago, where I'd beat them or they beat me, like a Skimbo where he had my number, but I was making run to the Gamer Saloon Tournament Championships, and that was when they had Kiv, that's when they had Hollywood, that's when they had Clef, that's when they had all those guys, Serious Mo. So it wasn't like, like just Skimbo and then some bums. It was like it was the top of the top there. And, so it's like Joe Rice, Crush. It's a little bittersweet, man. I'm going to be honest. Like, I mean, people can say whatever, but I'm just being honest. You want honesty, so I'm going to give it to you. I played money games against Clef. The last game on a money game, I beat him on Gamer Saloon. He blocked me at the time. He beat me a couple times, I believe, after during Mutt. I don't have any problems with him. I'm sure he doesn't have any problems with me. I mean, it was just competitive Madden, And like I tell the story about like back the day, he did joke about like Skimbo being 0-3 and he just can't get over the hump and he kind of chokes. Well, then if you believe in karma, Clef got the same thing. They were both 0-3, and then on their fourth try, they won it all. But I told people, man, I was straight up. Clef is a good player, a real good player. I won't take anything from him. Clef's a good player. He seems like a decent dude. I mean, I don't know him personally outside like of being competitive 8, 9 years ago when he's a kid. Um, but I told people flat out if once Clef wins, I think he'll win a second belt. So I think he's going to get a second belt. Like I think that whole get over the hump, you know what I mean, break the offer in the championship. I said the same thing about Skimbo, and it happened. Skimbo won multiple ones in a row. You know what I mean? So I think Clef will win another one next time he's in the championship. I don't think it'll be the same. I think it weighed on his mind. I think it was mental after he lost the first one. and now he broke that. He broke that like mental block, and I think he's going to win another one real soon, Trey. Probably next year. I don't know if he'll win LCQ, so I'll say sometime next year he wins his second belt.
Yeah, no doubt. And, Clef the God, shout out to him for getting over the hump, getting the W and all that good stuff. But, saying that, you battled him back in the day on Gamer Saloon and you knew he was a good player. But some of the other players that you played against, not even on Gamer Saloon, but over the course of your Madden career, could you tell like right away, like, and I guess this can even go beyond from Clef, but I guess just good players that you played in general. But I guess like before you even knew who they were and you played them, could you tell like right away that okay, this guy's gonna be really good, or is it kind of hard to tell like who's gonna be good because it's so nuanced when it comes to like because they all kind of run the same place, but it's just kind of the little nuance that kind of separates them from other people. So, I mean, like with Clef, can you tell right away that he was going to be a bell winner eventually, or not really?
Man, you're hitting with the legit questions, Trey, on Christmas edition of the West Coast podcast. That's a really good question. I definitely think that there was more, like, somewhat variety back in the day compared to now, because now you go on YouTube, you go on Twitch. It's like sometimes I'm not gonna lie, when I'm doing the MUT Champs or the Gauntlet, it's like I'm playing the same people. So it gets a little like, I don't know, and that's on me. My brain kind of like zones out. Um, I actually do better during the tournament when I lock in on single elimination than when like the MUT Champs is just what it is, and like I have to get better on that myself. And the Gauntlet, definitely they have way more pros playing where you'll match up against it, because it's a Gauntlet compared to like just MUT Champs where you might play one or you might not. Um, I'll say Dez. I didn't know who the hell he was, but I was like, damn, this guy's good. Like, really good, didn't make mistakes, made the right read. And then when I asked people, like, hey, do you know this tag? They're like, yeah, he's really good. He's going to be really good. And it was, I think that, I don't know if it was last year. Trey, you can correct me, but when he won the championship, I think one or two times, that was the first year I played him. And, like, I didn't know much about him. I played Henry when everybody was trying to recruit him. I believe he was 15 at the time. I played him in a tournament, and I actually lost to him 9-6, and people were blowing me up. I had no idea it was Henry. I'm just being honest. Like, and I lost 9-6, and people were blowing me up. Like, man, you played that guy so good. Like, you should be so proud of yourself. You were a player or two away from winning. That was the very first time I ever played Henry, and I lost to him 9-6. And lo and behold, I found out that that was Henry who everybody was recruiting, or it was the first year after they recruited him, and he was with, I don't remember who he signed with, but yeah, so that was one of them. Clef was hella good. He made a couple mistakes against me the last time I played him in the Gamer Saloon, because I kind of remember the whole back and forth. And like certain people like Kiv, yeah, I could tell that he was gonna probably win a belt. I thought he would actually win more than the one he has. I believe he only has one, Trey, because he is really good. The difference when I play somebody, Trey, is usually how many mistakes are they gonna make, right? Like usually my defense, I'm just gonna be laid out there, is I want you to go deep on me. I don't want you to nickel and dime me, because I want you to make that mistake. And like playing Dez at the time, he would just nickel and dime me, and then I'd have to like adjust, and then he'd take that shot right and get it over the top. Um, so yeah, you definitely can tell, Trey. You definitely can tell, like, if they're elite, or if they're elite, or if they're like, yeah, they might win a belt for sure. And for me, it's just it's a little weird. Some people, I am a little surprised they made live events, because I think they weren't as good as they were, and like I don't know what got them over the hump. I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to try to put people down. But and then there's some people that I'm surprised haven't won, way more belts because I thought they were really good and like matchups matter, right? Like Sirius Mo and he's 1-4 lifetime against me in tournaments, and he's a 2-time belt winner. There's guys that can't get into a live event and they've owned me. So usually, yeah, Trey, I can usually tell by how many mistakes they make on the offensive side, and it feels like I'm drowning. Here, that's a perfect example. It feels like I'm drowning on defense. It feels like I can't catch my breath. Like hike, he throws it. Money. I try to adjust there, he goes to the other side. I try to adjust there, he goes here. And it's just like, damn, dude, I'm because my offense is not built to, put up 35 plus. So there's usually a happy medium. Like there's usually a point total where I'm like, yo, I'm gonna win this game if it's in this bracket of points. There's where I'm gonna lose, and this is where I'm definitely gonna lose. And like there are people that have made me feel like I'm drowning, like Skimbo and Kiv. They made me feel like I was like in the middle of the ocean. I just couldn't catch my breath. And then there's people like Sirius Mo where I'll play him 50 times and that's nothing against him because he's a 2-time belt winner. The only thing, like I said, the only thing that I've noticed doesn't really matter, and I'm being honest here, and I've said this before, Trey, you'll already be like, yep, I've heard the story, Shane, is the user doesn't really matter like I wish it did. There's belt winners out there that I am less than impressed on their user defense or user offense. Like, honestly, I feel like my users are just as good as a lot of them. It's just usually like certain people know how to pick up the blitz crisp. Some people know how to throw routes with perfection. So like I'm kind of like sub average at making route combos like a Kiv, right? Like that game in the tournament, Kiv was making route combos that were just awesome to see. So I mean, props to people, but I do wish the user mattered a little bit more, Trey.
Yeah, no doubt. And you were correct. Kiv has only won one championship, and that was back in Madden 18. And that was also the year that he complained about the zones. So, I mean, just throwing that out there. But yeah, no, it's interesting for sure. And I mean, you're seeing, you talk about Henry, and he kind of became a millionaire. He was the first Madden millionaire, and really hasn't made a whole lot of appearances. Of course, I could be wrong, but it's like, I kind of seen him at the start of the year, but it feels like he kind of phased out into the background. And Young Kiv was actually at this tournament. I'm pretty sure the last one, and he was in a few others. But do you think like the upper class of players from like back when you were playing like the Skimbos, Young Kiv, and Drini, Dubby, etc. Do you think that those guys are starting to phase out, and now it's become a completely new class of players at this point?
You know, yes and no. Like another good question. Yes and no. Like obviously you saw Kiv, you saw Skimbo at the other tournament. I think it's way harder to make the tournaments nowadays because there's way more players that are very, very good. Like there's no way in hell that if you took my skill level when I made my only live event and threw it nowadays, I would get blistered. Like I'd be over. I'm just being honest. I wouldn't have made a live event. You throw me now, back then I would have been top four. I would have finished top four. And I would have made like $40,000. And I'm just being honest. It was big fish, small pond. Now it's small pond with a lot of fishes out there that are really good. I think the biggest thing, Trey, is Twitch and YouTube exposes a lot of people, right? And then like you got like, for example, you got a Skimbo or a Kiv or a Henry. I'm making an example here. They're popular on Twitch, right? So everybody's watching them. A lot of people watch them for tendencies and plays. So not only the play calling, there's a lot of people that watch for their tendencies. So like on 2nd and 5, oh, he's going to throw that dig route against this coverage. So then when they play him in the future, they might jump that user, right? And I think once you're on top, Trey, honestly, it's hard to stay on top because A, people pay attention to you more, people watch your tendencies, people see you on Twitch and on YouTube more, and you might not have the same work ethic as you did before. It's much harder to stay on top of the mountain than climb the mountain if you're good or elite. So I'll say that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And really, that's even like that goes beyond from just Madden. I mean, that goes for like sports in general. I think the number one person that I think of when I think of that is Conor McGregor. I think Conor McGregor kind of got to the top and then, he got all the attention, like you were saying, at the top of the mountain, then he kind of fell off. So do you think that when people make it to the top of the mountain, it's because they're less hungry? Like Henry, for example, he became a millionaire and then he just kind of laid back and all that, or do you think it's like other factors that go into it? And I mean, like, how hard is it to like, okay, I made it, but still be kind of motivated to keep going?
No, see, that's funny that you said Conor McGregor because I was going to actually use him as an example when I came back. I mean, I think it's because, okay, so here, I'll use this. Hold on, I'm going to clear my throat. Okay, sorry. I think it's really this. So you're poor. I'm not using you as an example, Trey, but you're poor. A person's poor. All they can do is they got the Madden in front of them and they have all the time in the world. And they have this one room apartment. They play it 14 hours a day. They spend any leftover money they do on packs or just, you know what I mean? Just that. Like, so they're kind of poor. They don't do anything else. They do it for 14 hours a day and they win that tournament. Bam. Depending on what tournament, $75,000 in my bank account. I've never seen $75,000 in my bank account in my life. Oh, snap. So now I start a Twitch stream. Now I got thousands of people sending me subs and bits, right? Oh man, I made $150,000 from tournaments and from YouTube and Twitch. That 14 hours Trey goes down to 10, and then it goes down to 7, and then it goes down to 4 because now people are calling you up saying, hey, yo, you want to go to this concert? Hey, you want to go to the club? Hey, you want to go eat here? And you look in your bank account and you're like, I can afford all that now. Yeah, I'll take a break on Madden. Yeah, I'll worry about it later. But then you're not as hungry. You're just like, you're just moving on and people pass you by. It's kind of like Conor McGregor. Dude was working out, training night and day, 6 days a week. He was on top of the world. Once he got to the top of the world, I mean, all of a sudden he's doing like cocaine and he's sleeping around and I'm just using don't sue me. I don't have any money. I'm just using what the tabloids have said about him. Um he's getting in legal trouble. Now he's not training as much. Then he gets hurt and he's never going to be on top ever again. And it's like, that's how I feel like for Madden players, like the same thing. Like once you eat that buffet tray, once you can get to that buffet and you eat it all, are you really going to be as hungry?
Yeah, no, I feel you. My bad. I didn't know if you ended on a question or what, but yeah, no, I feel you, and I think that's kind of what separates the good from the elite. I mean, you talk about Tom Brady, for example. That's probably a great example of someone that got over the hump, but you could tell even going through, three Super Bowls, and he still finds the hunger to keep going. Michael Jordan, same thing. Even though Michael Jordan is, he'll go out to the casino days before the game and then come and drop 50 like it's nothing. So I think it's kind of a different mentality there. But no, it's gonna be interesting to see like where we go from there. So like when you're because you said like you said a little bit earlier that everyone was recruiting Henry. So and I want to ask you like because you do have a crew, the United Madden crew. Shout out to them. is there like any specific like recruiting that you go to like when you're playing a game? Are you looking to recruit players, or kind of how does that work? Because and I know I've been in a crew with you in the past, but it's been a while, so I just want to know if anything's changed on that regard.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to make you think I left you on a question. My bad on that. So what it's kind of gone different levels now with UMC, right? So UMC started with like, hey, you want to join? Hey, we're cool with each other. Hey, we're friends, or we're cool with each other. Well, then when you start wanting to make that next level and you want people to get a little bit serious, there are some people, that I've told you about on between our private conversations that would dip out, or, they did some shady crap where I had to do paybacks for people, or there's egos, but there's starting to be levels, right? So like in the past, Trey, we had maybe like one or two top 100 players. Well, or top two players that you could be like, oh, they can make a run, but like they would make maybe like the second or third round. We now, Trey, have um literally, like, I think we had 4 or 5 guys in the top 130 overall for the whole year. I mean, so yeah, so you start getting levels and people start being like, "Oh, he's in your crew with you? Yeah, I want to go in with you." Because in the past, people would be like, "I don't know any of your players," and they'd go somewhere else. So I'd swing and miss. Well, one of the biggest people that we got was Cerebral, and he's a top like 100, player in all the MCS. And then other people started popping on. Oh, you got him, I'll join. Oh, you got him, I'll join. And so then it snowballs. It makes it easier. Like, for example, let's say in the future, right? One of us in the UMC, because you'll always be part of the crew, Trey, so you know that. Let's say one of our crew members wins it all, right? You know how easy it'd be to go out and be like, "Hey, who wants to join the crew? We have Madden champions in here." You'll get way bigger names, like, and it's just really like if you could look at who we had maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago compared to now. I mean, 4 years ago, you had one or two players, like I said, who could maybe make the second or third round, and I thought that was really good. And they were like my equal. To fast forward now, and we have like I don't even remember how many we have. 12 members, and 4 or 5 are top 130 in the whole MCS, and we've had a couple of them make it to Sunday, even where they're like one game away. Like, so if they brought back clubs where they invite way more people to the live event and you broke it down that way, we'd have probably 7 or 8 people who made live events this year. That's just a difference in quality that you get, Trey.
Yeah, no, that's what's up. So basically, you talk about Assassin. Shout out to Assassin putting in the work. So, would it be fair to say if we're looking at it like from a football perspective, Assassin, he would have been like a 5-star recruit essentially, and is that kind of what it's like? Like, you have these players, some of them are like, 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, and it's kind of like rebuilding. It's like, you have a sports team, you take ownership, and then, like you said, one of them gets gets to be a star player, wins a championship, then all of them kind of come together and like more people kind of want to join. So is that pretty accurate?
I mean, yes, yes. Like, Assassin's no longer with us. I think you know that. Um, man, like, I'm nothing against him, but he'd be like a 4-star recruit out of 5. Like, very good player, makes live event, or not the live events, but he goes far. So he'd be like a 4-star. He definitely is becoming maybe like a 4.5 star on his own, or with like Las Vegas Inferno. I think he's with them. Um, but yes, it starts to get easier. Like I said, the one person is a 5-star recruit, like Cerebral, and then we got Phoenix, who became a 5-star, and then you got Ultimate Fire, who's a 5-star, and Stony, who is a 5-star, and then we got Joker, who's a 5-star. So now we have like four or five, six, 5 stars, Trey, where it's like in the past, like it was myself and Assassin that were like the 4 stars, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. No, no, Shane's definitely a 5 star recruit, so there's that. But but yeah, it's interesting, and and this is kind of random, but since it was funny because like we were talking earlier about how you bought a new microphone, and it sounds good, by the way. I don't have any issues with it, but it was just hilarious because I remember the one. I think it was like one of your more popular videos that you posted where you bought a new mic, and, and one of the top comments was something to the effect of, "Oh, this was a good video, but it sounds like you're the pilot of a plane or something." And I just thought that it was funny. But since we're on that topic, investing in like these new microphones, and I think you did buy a PC, and I still think you do have the PC if I remember correctly. But like what is kind of your budget when it comes to investing in the streaming elements, microphones, controllers, PCs, and stuff like that.
So that's a good question, bro. Yeah, that's funny as hell, dude. I actually forgot about the whole pilot. Yeah, I remember that comment. Um, Actually, that comment, I actually at the time helped me be like, yo, if I want to be serious with this, I need to go get studio mic quality headsets, right? And once I got the PlayStation 5, it came with that sick studio mic that my wife ran over with a vacuum and the cord got ruined. So then I had to get a new one. But no, man, like I really think that if you're making videos and you're streaming enough, you need to have a studio quality mic or a good enough mic, anyways. I do have the PC. I don't use it. I mean, I'm not talented enough to work the PC, so we're sticking with this. But I will. It is not necessarily how much I'll spend. I just want to make sure the quality is crisp and pristine with this microphone right here. Yeah, it was like decent amount. Like it was, I don't know, I think it was like 150 or 180. But it's weird, bro. Funny story is, so that the microphone with the wire on it that stopped working to make me get this new one. It was like 280 like a year and a half ago. I looked up the same microphone. I typed it in, and it's only going for $70 now. So in a year and a half, it dropped from 280 to $70, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's a wired microphone and everybody's going with wireless. Because I've noticed the more the better quality microphones are usually wireless now that I looked up. So I don't know if that's why it dropped it, or maybe because the wire was going out, and that's why it dropped such the price from 280 to 70. But no, I make sure that every year I get a brand new controller, and then I make sure my microphone's working properly. So that's where I'm at, and I make sure it's studio quality.
Yeah, no doubt. It's kind of interesting too because at one point you actually had a music career and stuff like that. So, back when, because I mean this was like I mean nowadays you can get on and download like a music program and pretty much become a song if like everything, if the stars align, so to speak. But I imagine like back when you were doing music it was a lot harder. So I don't even know if you remember, but how did that all work out? Was it a situation to where like you guys actually went to a studio to record, or like did you make the music at home, and how did all that work?
So when I first started, it was my buddy and I, Jason Branch and I, and then we had a guy named Shay, another buddy of mine. He was one of the younger guys. They'd come over and they'd rap on my mom's computer that we had, and I would sit down and mix a beat together. I would be making like reverb, all that stuff, and make like cool sound effects. And I do it a lot by myself, right? I do music all by myself. Well, I realized like the quality's not good enough, right? It's decent just to mess around with, but like it was, you could tell, bro, that it wasn't studio quality. Well, so I was like, I got a job. I want to go to the studio. I think I'm good enough. Whoop de whoop, right? So I found a studio, College Road Studio, where I live. And I was like, yo, anybody want to go with me? And people were like, yeah, I'll go with you. And then they never went. So I was like, screw this. So I just went by myself, bro. I met Mo, the singer, who was on Just Me and You. And I'm going to tell you, man, like, I'm not very good with meeting people I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of reserved where people might think that I look like I'm a dick or like whatnot. But I mean, I could talk, I'm way better one on one, but like, even a group setting, don't get it wrong, I can talk with people, so I shouldn't say that. But lots of times I'm quiet, the quieter one of the group in my family. Well, that was a big step. I was 19 years old, man. I went to Spokane where I was driving where the studio was. I wasn't living in Spokane at the time. And I went there. I met a guy, Mo. He was older than me. He was military. And I had done the song. He came in, did the vocals after. He came in with like an entourage, and I was solo dolo, man. And like it was crazy to have like a real microphone in front of your face, a nice, headset on, and you're just rapping. You're telling like the guy, like turn the volume down or turn the volume up, or like it was surreal, man. Like, I mean, it was something like it's hard to imagine doing that by yourself, especially when you think people will come with you and then nobody comes with you and you're solo dolo. And then this much older artist who was in a church group, who was army, I believe he was army, and he comes in with an entourage and they're all way older than me. Like, I mean, at the time I shouldn't say way older, but like 27 or 28. um, and then we drop it, and they're like, "Cool, blah blah blah." I paid Mo for his collaboration because he was worth it, and they said I paid him $50 at the time, which back then, 20 years ago, is probably worth like what, like 100 now. And people are like, the guy that worked there was like, he gave you a deal because usually he charges people much more because he was that talented. He was like in a traveling like choir group for a while when he was younger, all that stuff. So my only regret is when I put it on SoundClick, it was kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like SoundCloud, and it might have been like YouTube now, where like everybody went there, bro. And that song was number one for 6 months straight. Nobody could knock it off. It was, I mean, I had so many views every day. I was getting emails every day. And then I obviously had to take it down once I got signed. But the biggest regret that I ever had is Mo wanted to do a second collaboration after we were on the after he found out that his and I song made the radio. We were being played at weddings at Copacabana in New York, and so we met at a Zips, bro, and we talked about the second song. It was gonna be like, it was called Death. It was a tribute to people that had passed away, your own fears in life. And he was gonna sing the hook because, see, I had made the hooks. I'm the one who made the hook on Just Me and You. Nobody wrote it but me. And then with Death, I wrote the hook again and made it this way, and it was for a singer. So we made a time like, hey, we're gonna meet at this time. I paid the studio, it was like a couple $100, and I show up and he's nowhere to be found, right? I'm like 20 years old and he's nowhere to be found, and I'm just like, what the hell? And I'm pissed. So I drop it. I have to write a chorus which didn't fit in with how the song wanted to go. He writes me, because I had a cell phone at the time. He wrote me, "Hey man, I'm so sorry that I couldn't make it, but I was security for George Bush at Fairchild Air Force Base. I want to make the song." And I'm like, I already did it. And he was like, man, I'll pay for the studio time. I'll pay for it so I could put the vocals on it. And I told him no. And again, it was my ego, Trey. It was my ego. And like now I would do it 100 times over because everybody was begging to hear the next song between Mo and I. And my ego got in the way with like, damn, you didn't show up when you said you were going to do it. Well, like screw off on that, which was messed up because he was being security for the president. So, anyways, man, there's just certain things like I'm not trying to blab on about it, but there's certain things that I'm like, damn, I kind of screwed up. Like I probably would have said yes to ghostwriting for Diddy, but like my son says, my oldest is like, yeah, but you would have been at the Diddy parties and laughs, and I'm like, yeah, that's true because I was young, but like no, long story short, yeah, that was one of my biggest regrets is not letting the guy Mo come back and do the second song.
Yeah, no, I mean it's hilarious because like I feel like I've known you. Well, I have known you for a long time, a long time, and it's like how you were saying earlier about how you would go on your mom's computer and like make beats, and it's like it's almost like you almost went downhill because I look now and you're like so like lost when it comes to like technology and other stuff, but like back in like 2002, I don't even know like the year you were actually making beats and doing all that on your mom's computer. So I have no idea how you went from that to now with technology, but you know the other question that I had on that was so like when you say that like from the studio when you were making music, was it less money that you spent compared to now in terms of like streaming equipment and all that, or was it kind of the same in that regard?
Hey, real quick, shout out to Corey, my oldest. Ain't ain't no party like a Diddy party. You damn straight, man. You keep me away from that, man. Um, no, it was crazy. You got about the year right, bro. That was when I was making on my mom's computer. But it's a little bit wild because I was getting better and better at the studio. Like that first song, the first song I ever made at the studio was just me and you. And obviously, we all know the story, the backstory of that, the radio, the signing. It, I wasn't as good as I was at the very end. I felt like I was starting to feel my place with the rhythm, with the music, yada yada yada. The pricing, like much cheaper than even Mutt. We'll leave it at that. It's much cheaper than Mutt, but it was more expensive than the microphone I'm spending now and the controller now because I think it was like $200 each time I went, and I was going like between 4 and 7 times a year, so I was spending like $800 to $1,400 probably a year back then, which was a lot. But at that time, until I moved out with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and then we had obviously the oldest Corey, I didn't have really bills, bro. I was at home. I had to pay for my car insurance, my cell phone, and that was it. And I was working full time, so I had plenty of money to spare. So I would say it's basically the equivalent of me spending MUT money now.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, like, and I'm not like, and that's one of the things, like, you were talking earlier about going to the studio and the whole kind of experience that went on. And to be honest, I think that's one of like my bucket list of things to do actually is to go to the studio because I just think it would be cool, like, you know, to put the headphones on, you're in the booth, you're like, you know, kind of in your zone. And plus, I'm someone like I like to do creative stuff, like, you know, like I don't think on YouTube, and I mean I don't get views or nothing, but like I enjoy making like projects, videos, and all that. So I do think that eventually I do want to go to the studio because, like you said, you know, the environment and the experience and all that seems pretty cool. And hearing yourself on headphones for the first time. The other question that I wanted to ask you about the music career and it is crazy because like we're talking about this and I've heard most of the stories you told. Um, but going back to like the whole Diddy thing you were talking about earlier about how you turned him down and how did like so you went from that and how did the music thing kind of fizzle out because I mean granted Diddy. you told him no. Essentially, you didn't want to do that, but kind of how did you go from there? Because you didn't stop making music after that. I don't think so. How did that music thing kind of fizzle itself out in the end? But,
Really good question. Yeah, man. I mean, if you that's your goal, Trey, to go to the studio, definitely go to the studio one time. Unfortunately for me, College Road is no longer around. But I did also go to another studio that my buddy did, and it was like a different environment for me, like for real. Like it was like a bunch of people that I didn't know that like I was a little uncomfortable with because I don't know them. I mean, a few of them, like I'll just say that they were funny characters. I mean, they all came across nice, but like some of the dudes, like I wouldn't trust to leave some money around without it disappearing. I'll say that. But you know, how did it fizzle out? I mean, that's a good question, Trey. I probably never have went through it, but like, I mean, so I would say from about 17, right? I was about 17, actually probably 16, man, to 19. I was on my mom's computer like every night, bro. You don't even imagine like this is what I'm talking about like when people do Madden and they're like trying to be great or anything to be great at. Honestly, I'm not the greatest rapper, but like from like 16 to 19, bro, every night, when my mom went upstairs, I'd be making beats. I would be recording. I'd be rapping. My mom would yell downstairs to tell me to be quiet sometimes because I'd get too loud. Um, Thanks for subscribing. Appreciate you, Kevin. Um, it I would just be doing that every night, bro. And then when I went to the studio, like I said, 4 to 7 times, maybe even more. Like I'm being honest, because actually I think my guy said I had like 100 songs when I asked him like 10 years ago when I found him on Facebook, and I don't even have Facebook. I just like typed it in and his name popped up. I can't find him anymore. So I regret not buying it off of him, the catalog. I think he was like saying like it was gonna be like a few hundred or whatever, and I just didn't have the money at the time. But anyways, that's another point. So then I went to the studio, right? I hit gold, like 15 minutes of fame on my first song, right? I get signed off it after 3 songs or 3 or 4 songs, I can't remember that I did. I got signed from to Phantom Music out of Canada. Like I had to sign like 100 pieces of paper. My mom helped me with it. She had dealt with lawyers before with her job, yada yada. It was legit as can be. Then they're like, "Yo, the movies, you can be on the." They're talking about, you'll be on the soundtrack with 50 Cent, who had just done "Get Rich or Die Trying." Puffy, that was his name at the time, Puffy. Yada yada. Well, then the movie fell through. They're like, "Hey, Puffy wants to know if you ghostwrite for him?" And I said, "Hell no." So they're like, "Oh, okay." Well, then like a few months later, they dropped me. The record label, I was about, I don't know, maybe I don't know how old I was, Trey, honestly. It's like a lifetime ago. Maybe 21, I'll say 22. I was putting music out, but not as much. I had a kid. My oldest was like a year old, you know, and I was just working more hours and I was moving furniture now, so I was gassed. Like, I mean, I'd have 6 to 8 deliveries a day of moving 300 to 350 pound furniture, and I just wanted to be home when I got home with my kid and my wife, and just be with my kid at the time. And I just kind of like, I don't know, I just kind of tapered down. I realized like, damn, like I don't have the same maybe fire or hunger, or I felt like I didn't have the time or the money because, you got a newborn, you have to buy formula, you got to buy diapers, you got to buy clothes, you got to buy food. And so that's basically where it tapered down. And it kind of sucked because um, I felt like my last few songs One was I Ain't Changed, and the other one was Stand Up. Those were my two last songs I ever made at the studio. And even the guy there was like, yo, like, you've been with us for a long time. Um, I think it was like 3 or 4 years. He's like, you've definitely improved. Like, you're definitely flowing to the music better. Not saying that you were bad or anything, but you definitely took another level. But that's how it fizzled out, basically, man. Honestly.
Well, it's crazy because, there's a lot of talk, which, and I think, there's probably truth to it. I mean, it's not like the music industry is like, has no shadiness to it whatsoever, but, and I don't even know if you ever thought about this, but, you're saying you got signed, you said no, you don't want to do it. I mean, your ego got involved. It is what it is, but, I mean, did you ever think, maybe it's a possibility that you kind of got blackballed in a way because he was hurt that you actually said no to him, or do you think it was mostly you just didn't have the time or what have you?
Um, you know, if I want to go on the ego route, maybe, but not. To be honest, no. I mean, I just feel like that I had that 15 minutes of fame. Like, I got my foot in the door. I screwed up by not ghostwriting. I didn't want people to have my lyrics that I put down. So it was my ego more, and I had my 15 minutes of fame. I kind of screwed up by not having Mo sing the death song with me. Um, so for that, like that part, like I feel like, like I just screwed up. I had my chances. It just didn't. It didn't work out. It wasn't, meant to work out at that time. It kind of stinks. So, like, I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. But like I said, it was a fun 15 minutes. It was really entertaining. It was crazy to think that on the soundtrack for the movie, I was going to be featured with 50 Cent. And honestly, at the time, I never thought that that would come out about like Puffy and all that stuff. Like, I just thought that he was some like music label guy that would dance in the videos of his artists, and like, and to hear that he's like the nutty guy of the whole like label, that's eye opening. That's why you don't judge, somebody by how they look or how they act, because they might be the cold stone one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think for most people in the music industry, I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's like they get in, they have their one song, or, maybe they have an album or like a good solid couple years, and then they just kind of fizzle out. I mean, the top 1%, like you have your Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Eminem, those guys, but I mean, you're talking about like the top 1%, and I think it's like when you start saying, oh, I got blackballed, it's just like, comes across as jealous to me most of the time.
Oh, hey Trey, can you hear
But
me?
like, and damn, I kind of forgot like my train of thought on what I was
Yo, can you
going
hear me,
for.
Trey?
But oh, what?
Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
what's up?
I,
Yeah.
I actually remembered what I was gonna say. I actually, I'm sorry for cutting you off, bro, but I actually remember. I don't think that I got blackballed, to be honest. Like, but but I got a funny story that my two friends can vouch on. So at the time, like I said, SoundClick was really really popular. Some people were getting signed off of SoundClick, like I was, and I put a song out. There's two lines in it that I put out there, and maybe it was a chorus or maybe it wasn't, but it was like two lines. I can't remember exactly, but I put it out. It got super popular on SoundClick again. Like, I think it was like top 10, top 5. And no lie, bro, like a month and a half later, I turn on the radio and they're like, fresh new Ti song, and he had the same lyrics. And I hit up my friend, and he's like, yo, that's wild. And my other friend, she's like, that's crazy. And then I'm like, he couldn't have listened, right? And they're like, maybe. Like lots of times, big names hear underground artists and they go off of them because who's gonna believe me over Ti at the time, right? But that's what I was just gonna tell you. It was really really crazy. I'll have to ask my two friends, what exactly um were the lyrics, because it was like tit for tat. Ti said the same thing like a month or 2 months later after I had blown it up on SoundClick and was like top 10 with like hundreds of thousands of views. Because Just Me and You, just so I know, it was like 1 million views for Just Me and You.
Yeah, no, that's wild for sure. Definitely, definitely crazy. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, and this isn't new. I mean, you have people saying this guy stole this guy's flow. I mean, that was kind of the whole feud with XXX Tentacion and Drake. Well, XXX, that's not really specific to Drake. I mean, Drake's been, getting accusations from, stuff like that. But, and I do remember the point that I was going to make. So yeah. But it's like, people say like, the new generation, and I kind of agree. But the one thing that I will give credit to like the new generation of musicians is that I think they kind of realize that the industry is BS. So like you don't have a lot of them that are like out there chasing the ring, so to speak. They're not really out there trying to be like the best musician out there. But it's like, they get in, they make, their 50 minutes of fame, they get their, six figures or, their millions, and then they kind of invest into other stuff, and then they get out. And to me, I think that that's smart because it's like, if the industry is like so crooked and all that, it's like why waste your time, trying to be the best if at the end you're gonna have to deal with all the BS and like jealousy and people trying to blackball you and stuff. So that's the conversation that I wanted to get out. But yeah, and if anyone has listened to this and you're curious, Shane does have his music posted to YouTube. If anyone wants to check it out, you can go to his YouTube channel, and I think it'll be under releases. He has a couple songs that he released, so if you want to hear young Shane on there when he made these songs, definitely give it a try. It's pretty good songs. Like I listen to them, and I don't really get the impression that it's kind of outdated, so to speak. Like, I listen to it, and it's like, dang. I mean, it sounds like something that it could come out now, and it would still kind of sound kind of fresh, so to speak. But with all that being said, Shane, I do want to get your thoughts, kind of switching gears a little bit here to the Heisman conversation. Travis Hunter won the Heisman, and I was pretty impressed with like the speech that everyone was kind of telling him. You're talking about a guy that, he kind of lives football. He said that he doesn't go to parties, he doesn't, do anything else. He's really dedicated to the craft. He watches film and all that. And I tell you what, as a Patriots fan who has a really serious possibility of drafting this kid at number 3 overall, I'm pretty stoked to get him. So I just want to get your question. Do you think that the Heisman was well earned by Travis Hunter?
Great question. Really quick, I did do one paid membership giveaway for Christmas. I was gonna do more, but the funds are a little tight. So congrats to JMD for getting the membership for the Christmas membership that I gave out. Like I said, um, once a month when I stream. So once a month when I stream, I will be giving out a random paid membership. So just for people to know, so that'll be even better in Madden 26 when I'm streaming all the time. You have way more game film to go off of. Also, if you become a paid member on your own, you get moderator perks. You get private tournament watching that I might not stream to the general public, but I'll do it to the private tournament and much more. Trey, I'm cool with Hunter winning it, man. I still like Janty, the Boise State running back. I felt like he deserved it in my book, but I can't be mad at Hunter. Hunter seems like a really good dude and a really good player, so I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at the decision. I think Janty was second, so the top 2 was fair in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. So, switching gears, and I know you were kind of dreading at me bringing this up, and I'm pretty sure you kind of have a rant saved for this podcast. But your Seattle Seahawks coming off of a pretty bad display of actions against the Green Bay Packers. Geno Smith ended up getting hurt. You had Sam Howell out there kind of finish the game, and I haven't heard, and I mean you probably know the injury update with Geno and what's going on, but and you guys play Minnesota, and that's going to be another tough break in the tough break of things. So kind of give me your whole synopsis of like this year's team and kind of what's been going on over there with the Seahawks.
It depends on what side of the fence you're on. If you're a Pete Carroll fan, you're like, hey, I thought we were going to be much better. If you're on the Coach Mike side, you're like, oh, this was a good first year. For me, I expected 10 wins at least with Mike. So hopefully he gets there because I think 10 wins will be what gets you into the playoffs. Obviously, the Seahawks need to go 2-1, and then hopefully the Rams go 1-2 with the loss to the Seahawks and a loss to the Cardinals. Maybe Seahawks will upset Minnesota, but who knows? I mean, you play the football game to see what happens, right? My main problem, I mean, Green Bay just came and kicked Seattle in the mouth. Okay, they came in and kicked us in our teeth. My issue is with how many Packer fans there were. Um, Seahawks have been known to have a great fan base. And the thing that's like kind of crazy is like when Seattle was really good, like Super Bowl winner, going back to the Super Bowl. My opinion, my humble opinion is a lot of the rich people that were, I would say, fair weather fans, outpriced, outbidded, some of the just the diehard fans, and because it was a cool thing to go to, right? It's kind of like people fighting over that like water bottle or whatever the hell it was like 6 months ago where all the women wanted it and they were fighting each other and it was like that steel looking thing. Well, whatever, people want to go to it, right? So Seahawks were the cool thing to do, and a lot of rich people that were like meh about it, but wanted to go because it was a cool thing to do, bought it all up. And now it's not that great because they're not that as good. They're not even close to as good. And so they sell it to the highest bidder or sell it to opponent, like the opposition. So like it kind of sucks to see. Like I'm just gonna be honest. That's more of my rant. Is like, why the hell are you selling it to Green Bay fans when you're in first place? I don't know, man. Like that doesn't sit well with me. Um, Hopefully Seahawks bounce back against Minnesota. Geno's supposed to play. He's supposed to be back. Sam Howell looked awful. Geno was whatever. They need Russ back. I'm joking, but I'm not.
Yeah, no, definitely need Russ back for sure. So yeah, and I think punched in the mouth is definitely a good way to put it. And I know, and I don't even like want to ask you because obviously, if you get in the playoffs, you're in the dance. I mean, this isn't like baseball or basketball, and this is why I like football the way I do because it's like once you get into the dance, you always have a puncher's chance. I mean, all it takes is one game, and you're like right into the mix of like Super Bowl. It's another reason why I like March Madness so much is because the one and done kind of format that they got. But I guess just on paper, do you think that the Seahawks can match up against the other teams in the NFC like Philadelphia and Detroit? I think both of those teams are doing pretty good. So if Seattle were to play, Philadelphia and Detroit, just from like if you compare the two teams, do you think that they match up good against those teams?
Not really, man. I mean, I don't think the offense is good enough, and it's funny because they're like the run defense. The run defense is better than last year. It is technically overall, it's like 22nd overall compared to 30th. Except this year they allow more yards per carry on the ground than last year. So that's funny how it looks there. For me, Trey, it's can you stop Saquon Barkley? And then Jalen Hurts, because their offensive line's awesome. So can you stop Saquon? I just don't know if you can do it, but maybe this team's built for cold weather, try to win 13 to 10 games. But right now, no, I'm just being honest. No, I don't see it.
Yeah, yeah, that was kind of a funny response because I feel like I built it as like Shane. Can you see this team matching up against Detroit? And then you responded just nonchalant, nah, not really. I can't really see that at all. So I thought it was funny, but I mean, I did see on the broadcast on the Sunday night game that I guess Seattle actually retired the number 12 in honor of your fans. But if we're going off of what you're saying that the fans are kind of fair weather. So, and I mean, if we're going off that, do you think that maybe by them retiring the number 12, that they kind of did themselves a disservice by doing that?
No, because it was the 40th anniversary of when they retired it. They retired it, I believe, in 1984. Trey. Um, so no, there was a lot more diehard fans back then than what bought up the stadium now in the last 10 years, because in the 80s they were so-so. In the 90s they really sucked. So it was the diehard fans, season ticket holders, right? It only became like the rich people thing to go to between like 2012 and 2016, 2017. And then recently in the last couple of years they're selling more and more to the opposition, right? So for me, it's like, yeah, it was rightfully retired because for a while, for the longest time, we had diehard fans, and we still have diehard fans. The problem is the rich people, because it was the cool thing to do, got part of the pie. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that's crazy because I mean that makes sense. I mean I want to say they probably did say that it was older, but I just went over my head. But yeah, that's crazy, and it's like because like I don't really follow. I'm not a Seahawks fan, but obviously I mean we live in the same area, so I mean the two NFL teams that are close. I mean you have the Seahawks and also the Denver Broncos that are kind of close somewhat, but. And I mean, like, when I think of, like, Seahawks football, I feel like the 12th man and I guess them kind of emphasizing their fans, it's like what you said, like 2013. That's kind of when they kind of made it an emphasis on, the crowd. So, but from what you're saying is that the crowd's always been like that, but, like, I guess back in, like, the early 2000s, like, when I first started getting into football, that kind of back then they didn't really like I guess showcase it that much, but it was like something that the Seahawks fans themselves knew about. Is that kind of and I guess like as the Seahawks became good with like the Legion of Boom, that's when it kind of became known to more like the I guess casual people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, here's something that like you I don't know if you knew this, but I was about 5 years old or 6 years old, and the NFL had penalized the Seahawk fans in the kingdom for being too loud. And that's how crazy they were. And the Seahawks sucked. There was a rule, like, I think it was like 89 or 90 or something like that, that there was a rule that for that year, if the opposing crowd was too loud when the opposition was on offense, you'd get like 5 yard penalties or something like that. And I had that image burned in my head of like, being at home, being downstairs, watching it with my family, and the Seahawks fans were being too loud, and they got flagged like multiple times for being too loud. Those were diehard, bro, because the team was not good. The team was not that good.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I actually didn't know that. Definitely crazy, and it definitely. I mean, to be fair, and I guess I wasn't really invested to it back then, but they definitely did a better job as it kind of progressed. They definitely made it a point of emphasis, and also it was pretty crazy because I was looking up a video about the Steelers, and the Steelers like they're one of those teams that's like they never play an away game. They're like because they're like such a franchise to where wherever they go, they're always gonna have fans in their stands. And I was watching like how they did Renegade or whatever at Heinz Field, and the whole place just goes nuts. And I just feel like that's pretty cool. And so for the Patriot fans, I mean, the Seahawks have the 12th man, the Steelers have Renegade. We need to get something like that for us for sure. So, and also I do like the how the Packer fans do the whole Go Pack Go thing. I think that's pretty cool as well. And of course, you have the Lambeau Leap. So, with all that being said, this was a good podcast. Running a little bit long, but it's okay. I feel like this podcast was flowing from start to end. Got to talk about Shane's failed music career. I'm just kidding. And all that. Got a little bit of Heisman talk in there and all that. So, with all that being said, we hope that you guys have had a good Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that. And we will see you next year, actually. And I always hate that joke. I always hate, like, I would be at school and go on Christmas break, and everyone, it would be like a running joke about it, like, hey, see you next year. But in this case, we will see you next year for our next edition of the West Coast podcast. So not only have a good, or we might be, I might be tripping. We might be back before the new year. I don't even know the dates, but if we don't, we'll see you next year, and I'll throw it back over to Shane to close us out for this edition of the West Coast podcast.
I appreciate it, Trey. Yeah, failing of my music career, but I mean, it was fun though, man. Like I said, it was fun. It was 15 minutes of fame. And it is crazy because you can see why it get to people's head and for an ego trip. But no, you're right, bro. The next time we will all see you guys is January 3rd, 2025. So I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, a happy holiday, happy New Year. If you are going to go out and drink, get an Uber, get a DD, make sure you're safe. So we will see you January 3rd, 2025 at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time. For Trey, I am Shane. This was the West Coast Podcast. We will see you in the new year.